Hi there, it's Cherylea from Anatomy for the People. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the basics of digestion. So what is digestion? Digestion allows our body to actually take nutrients, vitamins, and fluids from the foods that we eat. And then we take these and we use it to power our cells. So this whole process takes place in our gastrointestinal tract. And so what that essentially means is from mouth all the way down to the anus. There are two really important processes that have to occur in order for us to break our foodstuff down into its smallest building blocks so our bodies can actually absorb it. So, on one hand, you have a process called mechanical digestion. And mechanical digestion is all about mechanically breaking down foodstuff. So, physically churning, crunching, squishing, about physically breaking foodstuffs from large pieces down into smaller pieces. Whereas on the other hand, you have a process called chemical digestion. And so this is going to utilize enzymes, acids, and bacteria to actually break down the molecular structure of the foods that we ingest. So these work hand in hand to enable us to actually get the nutrients out of the foods that we ingest. Let's have a look at this process step by step, starting at the mouth. As an example, think about eating an apple. You take a big bite of it, and the first thing you do is you start chewing it up with your teeth. And that is mechanical digestion in your mouth. You are chewing those large pieces of apple down into smaller ones, into a pulp. So at the same time as this mechanical digestion is occurring, you actually have chemical digestion. You're having saliva being added to the mix from your salivary glands. Not only is saliva important for lubricating the food that's within your mouth, but it also has enzymes within it. And these enzymes start to chemically digest the foods that are in your mouth, particularly starches and fats. So once the food in your mouth has been chewed up a lot, you will then swallow that, and that food will be forced down into your esophagus. So it moves down your esophagus and it makes its way to your stomach. So in the stomach, we have muscular walls which squeeze and crunch and squish the food that's inside your stomach, and that would be your mechanical digestion. So also in the walls of your stomach, we have specialized cells that produce digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is really important for changing the shape of proteins to make it easier for the enzymes to start breaking it down. So in the stomach, you'll have protein breakdown and fat breakdown. So once the food, which is now termed chyme, once it is ready and it's all squished up to a nice consistency, it is then forced into the first part of the small intestine. And this is called the duodenum. So the duodenum is actually the smallest part of the small intestine, and it's only about 15 centimeters long. We have a lot going on in here. The pancreas creates pancreatic juice, and pancreatic juice is filled with enzymes. So that is actually pumped into the duodenum, where it then can break down carbohydrates, fats, DNA, everything that you can think of. The pancreatic juices are going to be targeting that. Also being pumped into the duodenum is fluid from the gallbladder. And the gallbladder holds a fluid called bile. And it is yellowy, green, and it's actually formed by waste products of the liver. And so all of this waste product is stored in the gallbladder, and it becomes this functional fluid which is able to mechanically digest fats. So bile is pumped into the duodenum, and what it does is it separates large fat globules into smaller fat globules. So therefore, it is mechanical digestion because it's not actually changing the chemical structure of those fats or lipids. So once the food has then moved through the duodenum, it's then going to move into the other parts of the small intestine, and that would be the jejunum and also the ileum. So in these parts of the small intestine, this is where we actually have the majority of nutrient absorption in the gastrointestinal tract, and also water reabsorption. So as the foodstuffs moves through the jejunum and the ileum, the walls of the small intestine are contracting to help move it through, but it also squeezes the contents, and this would be a form of mechanical digestion. So then at the same time, there are cells in the wall of the small intestine which are producing more digestive enzymes to further break down the foodstuffs into their smallest building blocks. And this means that those nutrients are able to enter into our bloodstream. So what happens is these nutrients, they pass through the cell walls of the small intestine and go directly into the blood, and then that blood is then taken up to the liver. So the liver will then further process that and store things for later usage. However, fats are not processed in this way. Fats are considered such an important energy source that it actually bypasses the liver, though some does get in. But it is absorbed into a network called the lymphatic system, where it is then drained directly into the cardiovascular system so that it can be distributed around the whole body, contributing to adipose tissue and fat stores wherever they may be. So, once we are at the end of the small intestine, we still have matter within those areas. So that is then moved into the large intestine. So as it moves through the large intestine, the body still can get things out of this matter. So as the food stuff is moving through the large intestine, the walls of the large intestine are contracting to help it move. And this acts as a form of mechanical digestion. So we also have chemical digestion occurring within the large intestine, and this is in the form of bacterial fermentation. So we have millions and millions of bacteria within the large intestine, and what they do is that they will feast on undigested carbohydrates, undigested proteins, and anything that they can gobble up. And when they do that, they are chemically breaking down the molecular structure of whatever they're eating, basically helping you break down what your body physically couldn't break down. So in the large intestine, we're able to extract electrolytes and water from the matter that's within the large intestine, and that moves into the bloodstream and then makes it to the liver. So you can thank these guys for helping you extract things out of the food that you've ingested that you weren't able to. But on the other hand, it is these same guys that are causing the odors that you may associate with passing gas and putting strain on certain relationships in your life. Or maybe that's just me. And then as it moves through the last parts of the large intestine, the body is still trying to reclaim anything that the body can use. This would be, residual water, but not all the water, because we need to make sure that the fecal matter can actually pass out of our body. Then the fecal matter passes out of your anus, and what fecal matter is essentially all the things that your body couldn't break down and couldn't reabsorb. So you have a lot of fibrous material in there. But obviously, fecal matter is going to contain large amounts of bacteria, a lot of dead cells, and anything that your body really just needed to get rid of in that way. Okay, I hope that you learned something today. Thanks for joining me. Bye.